Hello, everyone, and welcome to an episode of This Week in Raider Basketball on January 20th, 2016. Thank you for tuning in. This is Nick Rush as we tell you about the exciting week of basketball that we have on our hands. As we make this brand new episode, Raiders are 10-10 on the season, 1-3 in their district, Class 7A District 12. And if you want to go further into the stats and rankings, Riverdale and the state of Florida, they're ranked 303. A little bit of a fun fact there. But let's talk about the Raiders and how they are doing in the standings. Recently, I've personally really enjoyed the way they've been playing out on the court. What I like the most is how they've been putting pressure on their opponents, and they've just kept that pedal down. They just show no mercy on their opponents, it seems like. They keep scoring until that clock is expired at the end of the fourth quarter. So I've liked how they've been doing, but let's talk about the Raiders and their recent victories. Overall, it's been great. It all starts off on January 12th, where we left off on our previous episode. Raiders were going to face off against the Gulf Coast Sharks at Riverdale High School. Raiders win 61-47. It finally feels good for the Raiders to get that win, because this was their final district game of the regular season, and they previously lost 3 of them. So in their final district ball game, they win, and they go 1-3 on the season when playing against teams in Class 7A District 12. Of course, there's 3 total teams: Riverdale, Northport, and Gulf Coast. We'll talk more about them in just a few moments, but let's get back to the Raiders here. So they defeat Gulf Coast 61-47 on the campus of Riverdale High School at the Raider Rock Gym. Previously, when these two teams met, it was December 11th at Gulf Coast. Raiders fell 59-48. So this game on January 12th, this was the second of 2 total meetings on the season between Riverdale and Gulf Coast, and the Raiders finally get that win they've been wanting, so they get it against the district rivals. They carried that momentum into their contest 2 nights later when they squared off against the South Fort Myers Wolfpack. Raiders won that game as well, and 51-36 was your final score. That was another game where Riverdale really came out to play, and they really upset South Fort Myers, if you will. Raiders, at the time, they were 9-10. South Fort Myers was 10-6. And the Raiders were able to come away with that win. And so overall, that was a great game. Very exciting. A lot of energy at the Raider Rock Gym. So really, I've been impressed with how they've been playing. And we are ticking down to the final games of the regular season. And it actually is going to come to an end almost a week from today on January 28th. And that game's going to be at North Fort Myers. Raiders last night, they lost in a game to Newman High School. In case if you don't know where that is, that's a high school out of Naples, Florida. And Riverdale fell short 54-42 to the Newman Celtics. With the win, they advance up to 12-7. And the next game the Riverdale Raiders are going to play is going to be tomorrow night versus East Lee County, the Jaguars. And that game's going to be at 7:30. So, well, we'll check up on that right now. A little bit of confusion. Originally, it was scheduled down earlier this month that Riverdale and East Lee were going to be playing tomorrow night. But on the page I'm looking at, or the schedule rather, that game's not showing up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some further research on that in just a few moments, and I'll give you all the answer. I'll spread that out on Twitter in just a few moments. But anyways, that game, if it is true those two are playing, and it's still on, that's going to be January 21st. It was originally scheduled 7:30 p.m. at the Raider Rock Gym against East Lee once again. After that, Raiders are going to be playing on January 26th at the Raider Rock Gym once again versus LaBelle High School, another 7:30 p.m. game. And then after those pair of home games, that'll do it for the regular season when it comes to home contests. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be a fun pair of games, and let's see how the Raiders can close out the season. Once again, they're 10-10 overall on the regular season schedule of 2015-16. Now it's time to take a look at some of the other teams in Class 7A District 12. We'll start things off with the Northport Bobcats. They are 11-12 as we check back on them. They're 4-0 when playing against district rivals. Gulf Coast, 9 wins, 11 losses, 1-3 in the district. And finally, you have the 10-10 Riverdale Raiders. So when it comes to districts, the Northport Bobcats varsity basketball team, they've been the most impressive. But it seems like right now, the Raiders have the best overall record. Of course, both Northport and Gulf Coast underneath 500, while the Raiders are just sitting right on the win percentage, 10 wins, 10 losses. So we'll see about tomorrow night's game. Once again, I'm going to put that out on my Twitter page, and of course I'll put an update and the information or the section below the video on YouTube. But either way, I'll be sure to get that out to you guys just to confirm that game. But anyways, we'll see how that goes, and that's going to do it for this episode of This Week in Raider Basketball. I'm Nick Rush. Thank you for listening, and that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you for listening once again.